I'm very happy to introduce today Lynn Zachary. Did I pronounce that right?
It's Zachary, Lynn Zachary.
Zachary. She's a therapist in the Chicago area. Her passion is to help people find out what's causing their unhappiness and then help them feel better again. She enjoys helping them achieve their goals. Congratulations for having your article published on Authority Magazine recently.
Thank you.
So tell us what inspired you to become a therapist.
I never knew that I would be a therapist. I thought of myself as somebody who would work with kids, whatever that meant. And so I sort of started that path. I worked with children in the foster care system in Chicago. I liked, in retrospect, as I self-reflect on that, I liked that I saw I had an impact. I never thought through that at the time. I was in my 20s, but looking back on it now and even having some of them reach out to me now, it's nice to hear what their memories are. You taught me how to read, those kind of things that it's like,
Oh gosh.
that feels really important. Then I went on to be a school social worker, thinking again, I would work with kids. But as I got older and I got a little more clinical in my skills, I I liked even more so the idea of helping others feel better. That's my tagline on my website,
Uh-huh.
start feeling better today. That's the goal, and that you leave each session feeling better. So recognizing that if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, then you, as the person who's trusting me, will also start feeling better.
I love that goal, that vision that you have. You seem to especially enjoy teaching people how to connect. How do you teach people to connect?
Yeah, so I like to say this, that my blog that was written 20 years ago, my first one, I titled it Connecting in Therapy, Connecting Through Therapy. And that was before Brene Brown was famous.
Yes.
So her big thing with connection. So I always say she stole all the ideas. But and it is about that. It's if you are not feeling in sync with the person you're having a conversation with, you're not in a relationship. You're an
That's true.
individual having a conversation.
Yeah.
And so it takes effort and it takes work to connect. The happiest marriages require, am I allowed to swear? A shit ton of work.
Yes, you're
Yeah,
right.
a whole lot. And those are the best marriages.
Mm-hmm.
So
Couples that are willing to really work at keeping the connection vibrant.
yeah, and it's not just about me, it's about you and us and
Mm-hmm.
all three of those parts.
Mm-hmm. So, do you find that many people are afraid of therapy or afraid of making the first appointment for therapy?
Um, I think for a lot of people, it's very uncomfortable to talk about themselves. Sometimes many sessions will go by where somebody is talking about someone else, whether it's their children or their partner or their friend or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, before they can really get into what the therapy is.
Mm-hmm.
It's you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I say the mentally healthiest people come to therapy because they are doing the work and they are learning who they are, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all of that, embracing it, working on it, and doing better each day with how they're presenting themselves to themselves and
Yes.
to others. But it's hard, what don't you like about yourself? You know, I like everything about myself is a real quick answer. Who are you to say there's something wrong with me? And it takes the trust and it takes the compassion, and what you're doing in therapy hopefully becomes safe in our room, and then you can bring it to your other relationships to feel that you can talk about things that feel like a weakness is a really brave, strong thing to talk about.
Being self-reflective is the pathway to being happier, isn't it? Of healing.
I think so. I think, that word self-critic, that's a Brene Brown word.
Yes.
Not to keep talking about her, but to be to be aware of the voice in your head. I didn't know I had one until I
Mm,
was older. I would
mhm.
journal. I didn't know that I was telling myself things that weren't always healthy. And
Yes.
so starting to learn how we talk to ourselves. And again, that's affecting our responses and communication with others. We're going to
Mhm,
be defensive and we're going to be careful and closed off
mhm,
from others until we realize what we're what we're doing. It's not just about goals and motivation, but it's about how does this person make me feel?
mhm. You mentioned in the article that you find many young people are so afraid that they haven't found the perfect soulmate that they're afraid to commit to a relationship. So, how do you deal with a person like that who has that belief that there's only one perfect mate for me?
I know. And sometimes I have to self-reflect myself saying, did I create this monster? If I've worked with, let's say, a young woman from the time she was in high school to her 20s, and now she is so evolved and self-reflective and mature and wise, and she knows what she wants, you know, how patient should she be to help someone else evolve? Or should she be demanding that evolved person who can match her right away? And
Mhm.
it's really hard because when other people haven't done the work, and it doesn't have to be in therapy, you can do the work
Right,
yourself.
right.
But it is really hard. So then you've got social media because you have your presentation, the perfect engagement and the perfect pictures
Mhm,
and the getaways and the dates and the package. And, if I said that I wanted Dunkin' Donuts coffee and this person brought me Starbucks, are they just not listening to me and I deserve better? There's all so much overthinking going on. And recognizing what are deal breakers, what's disrespectful to you,
mhm,
what are you negotiating your own values with? We do some values identification. And if you're
mhm,
compromising your values, then that's a problem. But if it's just some growth and I also think if people are able to have conversations and make changes based on those, then you're in a good place.
mhm.
Yeah, you don't have to be perfect yet.
No, well, and none of us are we?
Oh,
It's an ongoing process.
we're still working after 25 years, my
Yeah,
husband.
right.
Yeah.
I expect to work till the day I die. What attitudes or habits keep the romance alive in your own marriage?
It's that takes a lot of effort and work. It really does. I've learned also to be a better listener.
Mhm,
Just because I'm exhausted from listening all day after several sessions doesn't mean I should go out, into my home and not have patience for
mhm,
people that I love. Um, Love languages, I know that sounds little basic, and all 5 of them matter, all of the different love
mhm,
languages, but recognizing how you can do better with all of them in little gestures. One time when I was having mom guilt, I read that you needed 17 minutes of quality time a day with your child, and to me, that was
yes,
so helpful. Like,
yes,
okay, I can do that. If I'm a working
yes,
mom, I can swing that.
yeah,
And I think that goes for a lot of our relationships.
yes,
Make the small amounts of quality. You don't have to gear up for a date night or sex or
mhm,
any of that. Just put your hand on someone's shoulder or say,
mhm,
like, I missed you today. I hope you had a good day yourself. Little
mhm.
things go a long way.
You're so right. It's those little daily things that add up to a happier long-term relationship. You recommend that couples build a strong foundation. How have you and your husband built a strong foundation for your marriage?
Um, so we certainly built and destroyed a whole lot along the way. Uh,
I love your honest answer because yeah, that's probably true for most of us.
Yeah, I met him when I was in kindergarten, and I always say that
Wow.
sounds way sweeter than it is.
Oh,
There were so
yes.
many blow ups, foundations destroyed and blown to pieces, and betrayals, and growing up,
Yeah,
just growing up and growing, figuring out how to do it together.
yeah.
And brick by brick, over the days, weeks, years, conversations. Um,
Hmm.
if I say, slow down, you just went through a red light, and he yells at me, then we have to have a conversation about, okay, is it my fault? Is it your fault? Can we find a better way? And really, just each time something happens, not necessarily in the moment, but talking about it.
Hmm.
This might be a better way to talk. This might be
Hmm.
it might feel better for both of us.
I think you're talking about basic respect for each other, aren't you?
Yeah, 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 you kind of have to like each other.
Hmm.
There's the history, I think that goes a long way. There's loyalty that goes a long way.
Hmm.
There's love, which might be very true. But then to keep liking someone does, you have to keep almost looking for it and laugh,
Yes.
find
Yes.
ways to enjoy.
Yes. When you and your husband disagree, what tools do you use to deal with the disagreement?
I I found working with couples has taught me a lot. I've learned so much from the way the couples argue. And
Hmm.
so I have worked hard. So I do a lot of talking about this in my sessions and in my social media about the different parts of your brain. And your feeling brain is really important. But sometimes I'll be able to kind of go out of that brain and do my top level brain when
Hmm.
we are having a tougher discussion. So I can keep him with me in
Hmm.
what we're actually talking about. If I
Sure.
say, um, did you remember to call the landscaper? And he says, I've got a lot on my plate. Did you call the dishwasher guy? I'll say, we can talk about the dishwasher.
Your screen has frozen temporarily. There you are. You came back. Okay.
Yeah, so to keep him in the present moment about what the original question was, but still acknowledge that he's got an agenda himself. So let's do mine because I brought it up first, and then
Hmm. Hmm.
that helps.
Yeah. Deal with one thing at a time, right?
Yeah, and stick with me. I'm not going to get heightened.
Yeah. Good for you. You mentioned at one time you and he got so busy you drifted apart, creating resentment. Resentment, of course, is a relationship killer. How did you correct that condition?
That was a really hard time. We had just had a second baby. I was working at the school as a school social worker and starting my private practice and nursing. And
Mm.
I felt that I was doing it all. And we were young parents, and
Mhm.
um, we didn't know the teamwork at that point. And um, I think like many couples, we either had to get it together or not over COVID. We had the
Mhm.
time of not being teammates, and then we had to to figure it out.
Yeah.
And finding the teammate mentality has gone a long, long way. I feel cared about, I feel considered, I feel appreciated, and I think he feels like he's the smartest person that I could ever talk to. So
Uh-huh.
we both get what we need from each other, and
Mhm.
it did repair that. But it's hard when you are resenting someone and you don't want them in the room with you. To be able to work through that is really important. And I think having experienced it myself in a really good way, brief way, um,
Mhm.
I can help others kind of work through that too. I'm sure there
Yes.
were times where he was, cringing at me stomping around and being a brat myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
To learn that we affect each other and that it makes a big difference on how we're treating each other.
A couple of times you mentioned the importance of being self-reflective, and you've given some illustrations of that. Is there anything you'd like to add about the value of being self-reflective?
To not ever feel like it's too late. If you
Mm,
left a conversation feeling kind of icky about it, you lost your temper, you were impatient, you were short, to be able to say, hey, like that was me, like,
uh-huh.
and I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Sorry goes a long way. Also, I think it helps before hard conversations to think about, all right, what do I want to ask? What do I want to know? What do I want to share?
Mhm.
And to know where your own motivations are coming from. Are you going into this situation to hurt someone, to help yourself, to feel better, to just, you know, chill out? What's the intent there?
So to think through what's important to you to talk about or to share before you engage in a difficult conversation.
Yeah, and as boring as it is too, back to Psych 100, active listening goes a long way.
Oh gosh, yes, it's magic.
Yes, I think what you're telling me is this, am I wrong?
Mhm.
Always asking if you're misunderstanding, if you need
Mhm.
correction. I say that in therapy sessions all the time, I am totally fine being wrong about this. Do you think it's possible that?
Yeah,
And yeah, if not, great.
yeah.
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? We all know.
I call that perception checking.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
Check my perception against whatever is true or not true.
absolutely.
So viewers who are watching this video, I recommend you read Lynn's entire article, the written article in Authority Magazine, because she had a lot of great tips. And if you'd like to reach Lynn, you can reach her at her website, lynnzachary.com, or on TikTok. Lynn is Lynn, Zachary is ZAKERI.com. Thank you, Lynn, for taking some time to meet with me today. I,
Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. I appreciate all the good work you are doing in the world.
Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate your questions. They were very thoughtful. Thank you.
You're so welcome, and you have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Bye, Nancy.
Bye bye.